one of my most popular videos has been about this idea of internal boundaries, also known as discipline. So I'm going to expand on that in this little video today. So first of all, I wanted to just cover that we've got 4 types of boundaries, or 4 areas if you like. We have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual boundaries. So for each of those, we have our internal boundaries, because remember that when we have our internal boundaries well established consciously, that then as we interact with the outside world, this is where we have healthy boundaries. We have a filter that's accurate with our own true identity, and so we can meet the world and the dangers that come up there, we can spot them faster, or we entertain them for shorter. We also then are drawn towards other people who also have positive energies and have an expansive way of living, a generous heart, a generous spirit. So to get there, we're going to talk first about then our physical boundaries. So this is quite obvious. This is where you'll hear the word self-care with codependency. And it's really about how you treat your own body and your physical space. So what's your environment like? You know, is your room a mess? Do you eat junk food? Do you go to bed at 10 at night and just drink coffee from 5 a.m. until 3 p.m.? You know, so what you're putting in your body. So internal boundaries really are about the decisions that you make for yourself. So if you eat well and you learn how to sleep well and you tidy up your home and all of these kinds of things, then you'll tend to make better decisions when other people invite you to do things. And you'll be able to realize, right, okay, I'm getting tired now, or 2 glasses of wine is enough for me now, and I'm going to drink some water and then I'm going home. So when you treat yourself well and your body actually gets more sensitive to toxins and rubbish when you eat cleanly, that means that you can much faster be like, oh, okay, this is not working for me. And then you make your choice. It's also about who you spend your time with, how you interact, of course, how and where someone touches your body. So these are all things that if you spend some time working on yourself physically, about how you treat yourself and the little decisions you make for yourself with your body and your physical environment, that's where you can start. Okay, now moving on to the mental part. This is about looking at your thoughts, what you think about, how you think. So meditation, so taking the time to think about how you think and be able to analyze and observe. Sometimes this is disregarded in like the spiritual world, or some ideas of spiritual teaching in which you know, the emotional part in your heart is the most important. And I don't want to say that that's not important. I just want to also say that when it comes to having good boundaries mentally and emotionally, because there's a balance, and you know, we'll see in a moment how those two connect more. But mentally, you need to be able to establish when you're meeting the outside world, and we have to admit that there's manipulative people. So even if you subscribe to the idea that your energy, you know, attracts only good people, you can still get scoundrels out there, okay, who are really good at mimicking. So when you train your mind as well to be skeptical in a healthy way, to be able to gather information and balance it with your value system, those are all parts of your mental internal boundaries, and also about how you talk to yourself. So that inner voice that you hear about, if you do the work on your inner voice. So oftentimes we have a voice that's judgmental, jealous, shameful, all these kinds of unpleasant thoughts that we have when we feel threatened in some way or someone's unkind to us. And this can trigger this internal dialogue. Those are your thoughts. That is your voice speaking inside of you. So you have to be able to work on that so that you treat yourself well with that voice. It has to become a compassionate voice. It has to become a curious voice. And this is a lot what Gabor Mate talks about if you watch any of his stuff. So that's the internal way that you speak to yourself. Because if you don't speak to yourself well, when someone out there comes along and tells you that you're useless, you will believe it. If you know that that's not true and someone says that to you, quite frankly, you call them an asshole and you try not to see them again if you can help it. So you see where I'm going with that. So mental boundaries about how you talk to yourself, how you think, and how you conceptualize yourself and the world. This is part of your mental boundaries internally. The next is the emotions. For this, you really want to make sure that you know how you feel. It's surprising, you might think, oh, I know how I feel. But I guarantee you, if you start looking at anger, looking at resentment, looking at jealousy, that you will start to see that there's more information there. Our feelings basically are information. So we have these sensations that come in through the body. And like I say, it's a form of information. And as we look at that, anxiety, all of these unpleasant emotions to experience are our safety mechanism. And we want to be able to explore and really have a clear and nuanced understanding about how we feel when emotions come up. Because again, if you don't have that and you're getting triggered by how other people speak or what they do, then you're getting emotionally put off balance. And that's when people can push your boundaries. Whilst you're confused and getting triggered into anxiety or fear, then that's where you'll go into these sort of survival ways of behaving, and you'll discard your values or consequences long term. So being able to have emotional awareness and a clear understanding, there are exercises that you can do. I teach them in my course. They're out there. But getting very clear on your own emotional landscape internally. And this balances, of course, with your mind. And as you do the emotional work, you'll also bring your mind into alignment. So we work on the two together so that we internally feel very robust. So what happens below emanates outwards authentically. Right, then we have spiritual. This is really where you are looking at your self-worth and your meaning and how you find meaning on this earth. So again, I'm not here to preach to anybody. I believe that we do all have some kind of unique gift that we can express, and that we get so much fulfillment and peace when we actually pursue those. It's not to do about status and money, although of course those things are lovely when they do happen. There's a deeper layer of feeling and meaning that certainly arises, I know, when we actually engage in acts of helping others and using our talents in a positive way. So our internal spiritual boundaries are defining for ourselves what we are good at, what gives us meaning, how we feel loved, what is the meaning of my own life, and choosing to go in directions. So when you do that, again, you are less at risk of being weaponized by manipulative people. Okay? It can still happen, we can all be vulnerable, but if you are clear about the direction that your life is going in, you're less likely to be pulled into someone else's agenda, if you like. And even if it's not like a bad agenda, perhaps it's just pulling you away from something that is meaningful to you. So getting clear on what your own value is to you and starting to live out actions that are in alignment with those. This is also where you learn about core values and how to find out your core values and live by them. That's the spiritual work that you do for yourself, right? And then all of these things begin to align together. So how you're treating your body, that's been in yoga for centuries. Your body is your temple, etc. You know, your mental and emotional state, what you think about yourself, what you feel about yourself, what kind of behavior you think is acceptable, and then your own goals and your own values. So things that are important to you, traits like integrity, independence, creativity, it could be cooperation, you know, whatever it is, when you're living your life through those core values, then your spiritual work has begun, and it's defined by yourself, and that's very powerful. So internal boundaries encompass doing the work on yourself for all of those things first, right? And then when you are grounded in all of those aspects, then as we engage with the outside world, things start to balance and flow much, much better. So I am Bibi Eastwood. I'm a certified life coach. Yeah, you can see that there. A mum, of course. You can see my son there. And I run courses online and in person. So all my stuff is down there in the link and the bio. Of course, like and subscribe and all that jazz. And I look forward to hearing from you. Just get in touch if you need a little bit of help. I've had to go through and do all of this work myself, and I can show you how to do it. So let's get on this, and let's get going and live better lives, have better boundaries, and learn to love ourselves and others authentically.